Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 video. And today, we are having the last look, unless otherwise requested, the last look at our section of the lab, particularly within the ISO management area. Now, we've either looked at or spoken to the efficiency of ISO and just how much it can play, or how much of an important role it can play in helping you succeed with some of the more difficult challenges that you may come across in your rifts, in your danger rooms, in your gauntlets, in really anything that you're doing post main story quest. And even with some of the story quest things, there are things that will be very helpful for you if you learn how to use ISO correctly. So as a brief recap, you'll notice that there are a couple of different types, and for the most part, they match up pretty well with what you would expect. The purple ISO will match up with the strength characteristics, the red will match up with the vitality, the orange matches up with mastery, yellow with resilience, green with durability, and blue with energy. We talked about the white ISO in particular, where it is more of a utility ISO type, but we have not touched on or looked at what rainbow ISO 8 is and why it is so powerful. So let's get our rainbow ISO 8 selected to the point where that's the only thing that we're looking at and talk about it for just a minute. Now, Rainbow ISO 8 does a couple of different things. It can have multiple different benefits, and it is not specifically enclosed to any one category. For example, this piece of Rainbow ISO 8 has the critical hit chance on melee attacks, as well as the ability to decrease damage done by 10% when your HP is at 80% or higher. And the fact that you can have one piece of ISO 8 that offers multiple effects really speaks to the benefit of this type. And you can even see with little indicators exactly what types it applies specific benefits from. There are those two little shards or crystals here that speak to it being, this piece being a vitality and power combination piece of ISO 8. You've got this one over here that has two elements of vitality and one element of strength. You've got this one over here that's an energy and a vitality. You've got this one that's a resilience and a mastery. There's just a lot of different things that you can see and use this ISO 8 for, including a couple of really cool combinations that you are really kind of unprecedented, which kind of makes it a little bit difficult if you are looking to combine some of this stuff down, because yes, you get heightened effects the higher and higher efficiency you use with your ISO 8, but you also can lose out on some of the benefits, especially as you're breaking down some bits of ISO 8 to use it with other bits as well. But let's go ahead and have a look at some custom builds using ISO 8 to really get the best benefits to your team. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to put together a different team, one that I haven't used before or haven't really worked with hardly at all, and then outfit them with some ISO 8 before we jump into a rift to showcase what the ISO 8 can do for a team dynamic if you balance it correctly. Alright, so we've got a team put together here that is a team that I have really no experience with. So let's have a look at each team member's individual strengths and weaknesses, and then select an ISO loadout specifically from the rainbow variety that's going to help specifically. And we're going to start out with ELEKTRA. Now, ELEKTRA has a couple of attacks you can see over here from the left-hand side. In fact, let's look over at her abilities specifically. And we'll notice that she has a melee attack, a piercing attack, a projectile attack, and an energy attack. And that is what we are looking to keep in mind as we go about using or building an ISO 8 setup for her. So let's go ahead and have a look at her ISO slots. And you can even see that it does give you the characteristics down here along the bottom in case you get confused. So with our ISO 8 up and viewed here, because she has some melee attacks, This is going to be, and she's going to be very much the brawler type character within the group that we have picked out. This one with the increased critical hit chance and then damage dealing an additional 10% when HP is at 80% or more. This one's really going to be a good one to assign out to her. Now, another one that we're going to want to look for is something that ideally can help out with her projectile attacks, and this one does, but she's not going to get any benefit from the alternate use of this because she doesn't have any bind attacks that she can make any use of. She's also not going to benefit from the ice ability, though we may want to keep in mind that Storm would be a good candidate for this particular piece of ISO. And this is actually going to be a really good one for ELEKTRA as well, because she has some pretty high damage ability attacks. So let's go ahead and equip the EP recovery rate and the increased critical hit chance of extreme attacks to her as well. Now we're just looking for one more, and let's go ahead and add this piece of ISO 8 in with her as well, which increases synergy attack damage done by 11.4%, as well as adding the fire ability attribute to a combo finisher. And that's going to be a pretty good build out for ELEKTRA's kit in general. Now let's go ahead and have a look over at Storm, because there were a couple of them that we had outlined that would be beneficial for her, which this one would be a really good one, where we add the ice ability attribute to a combo finisher, as well as increasing damage of all attacks with an ability attribute by 4.6%, and that is because Storm has a lot of different characteristics or ability attributes on her abilities, so this is going to really help her out quite a bit. We'll also want to apply this one that I currently have set over on Thanos, because it will decrease the number of attacks that you must land before inflicting a status effect, as well as helping to upkeep the recovery rate when the HP gets to a lower percentage. This one will be very beneficial to have on Storm as well. And because Storm has very large area of effect type attacks as well, it'll be beneficial for her to have this ability attack damage increase, as well as, well, we're not going to be going into a rift where we're in danger of becoming infected, but the ability damage is going to be a very nice addition to the loadout that we have going for Storm. So let's go ahead and load that out as well. Now for Ghost Rider, he's a little bit under-leveled when compared with the rest of the team, so we're only going to be able to apply 2 pieces of ISO 8 to him. But this one is going to be pretty good because Ghost Rider's extreme attack is fairly efficient and has a decently large area of effect that it plays into, and it comes with the added benefit of increasing ability damage by 13.6%. So that's a noteworthy piece that we can equip over to him. And this one will be kind of handy because Ghost Rider is a little bit lower in terms of the team dynamic, where it will decrease damage taken from melee piercing and projectile attacks when his health gets low, as well as increasing the damage that he doles out to enemies that are stunned. And that leaves us with ELSA Bloodstone, who, like Ghost Rider, is a little bit under-leveled, so we're only going to be able to add an additional 2 to her. Now, where her attacks are heavily influenced by and subject to projectiles, we're going to want to see if we can find an attack that soups up or helps her projectile attacks. Alright, and since ELSA doesn't really have the bind aspect here, she's going to lose the benefit of this piece of ISO 8, but increasing the critical hit chance of projectile attacks will be beneficial for her because that does make up such a large portion of her kit. So let's go ahead and equip that one. And I'm actually going to swap this one off of Storm and equip it over to ELSA Bloodstone, which means we then need to come back over to Storm, which we're going to go ahead and equip this one. This one is the Rainbow ISO 8 that allows her to take a less of a deficit if she uses her flight trait, which is what she uses for traversal instead of a double jump or a standard double jump, as well as increasing critical hits chance of synergy attacks by 7% and adding an additional 7% chance to stun on a staggered enemy. So with those ISO loadouts equipped to this team, let's go ahead and jump into a rift and showcase just how well and how powerful some of this ISO 8 can be. Alright, so we're in here in a rift facing off against Sandman, and something that's going to be beneficial here in this fight is making sure that we can take out the AIM soldiers that are here. because they are going to be particularly annoying in terms of not letting us complete our core or our end objective. But as soon as we have these guys taken out, we can continue in our progress towards bringing down Sandman. And we're just about there. And now we'll go ahead and get a couple of synergy attacks in here. And unfortunately got in a little less damage than what I would have liked. But there is more work that we can do here to assure that we get the damage cap that we need. And just like that, Storm got a very highly efficient synergy attack from the use of her lightning there. It took out the majority of the smaller grunts here. And we've now got the rest of the team down to the point where we can work with, or work against Sandman here. And with a couple of final shots there, we can now waltz right up.
Not without me.
I'm in.
And unleash a bunch of our extreme attacks, which is going to take out a very healthy chunk of Sandman's health. And the nice thing about this fight in particular is we are going to end up with a lot of this Rainbow ISO 8 that soups up our own attacks because of the Destroyer armor having showed up here. And now that we've got ourselves souped up here, we can go ahead and unleash a couple of attacks into Sandman and the Destroyer armor. And we're going to want to grab this guy again here as we seek to take both of them out. And we're going to want to take advantage of whatever synergy attacks we can get in. While Sandman is staggered out, we're probably going to need to go one further cycle here. But these synergies, or these ISO 8 aspects, are really helping out with increasing our overall team damage. Because this isn't your average cakewalk Infinity Rift when it comes to the different things that you have to face off against. And we'll go ahead and grab a couple more of these guys here. We're going to want to grab this. And unfortunately, Nightcrawler went down a bit there, despite us having the benefit of decreasing attack damage from his incoming attacks. And that's why you don't want to bring under-leveled characters into fights too frequently.
Get up. Or don't. Death becomes.
That takes out Sandman, which means that we can now focus on this Destroyer armor here. And we're going to want to grab whatever ISO we can here. As we continue to lay our attacks into
I'm in.
this Destroyer here. And And if we grab this guy over here, we'll be able to soup up our attacks further.
Death comes for us
And
all.
then unleash this attack here as we continue laying into the attacks against him. And this is probably one of my least favorite interactions with the Destroyer because it's a more enclosed, boxy type arena when compared to the circular one that you face off against him initially. Oh, come on. I thought that we were friends, bud.
Death becomes
And with that, we should be getting closer to finishing out this fight. And there are no more team members in here that have the ISO 8 shards to help this fight go a little faster. But I still get the feeling that we are making a lot more progress in this fight than we otherwise would if we were just using some standard ISO 8 shards. And Storm is getting absolutely pelted. And he's just about down to the point where we can lay in a couple of other attacks on him.
the storm is unleashed, not without me.
And this should hopefully get him down to the end bit of his fight, which really helps because I believe one of the ISO that we had paired in with Storm was allowing her to have some souped up attacks with her extreme and synergy attacks there. So all things considered, not terrible. I mean, it's not the fastest clear that I ever had of this, probably because, you know, it was a team that I hadn't experimented a whole lot with going into it. But the team did substantially better based off of the ISO 8 that was included in that fight, and I hope that that was made apparent. So I hope that you found this video helpful, as ISO 8 can be one of the things that's a little bit tricky to get a grasp on, especially this rainbow variant of it, because it does so many different things. But once you learn your way around it and how to best apply it to members of your team, you should have some increased success in the usefulness of it. So if you found this video helpful, please feel free to leave it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily content, and we'll be back with another Minecraft video tomorrow, and on Wednesday we will have the final character spotlight for this game. Yes, I finally have access to the final character, and we will be showcasing him to you on Wednesday. So thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.